Hello Year 4, and this is your reading lesson for Monday the 1st of March. Okay, so as usual, Raider's Peril. I'm going to show you the questions that I'd like you to answer about Chapter 4, Silken City. I will also upload a copy of these questions along with the video link. Okay, so question 1, who caught Katana? Number 2, why did Katka decide to not hand over the ice cloak? Why did Katka decide to not hand over the ice cloak? Number 3, what was the reason for Katka entering the Silken City? Question 4, what was being made at the workstations? Number 5, why do you think Zircon's communication is typed? Just checking 5 questions there. Okay, so you can either make a note of those now or you can just look at the ones that have been uploaded with the video link. Okay. Okay, Chapter 4, Silken City. Katana ran through the darkness of the white desert night. She rarely ventured to the Silken City, and never alone. Despite its soft-sounding name, it was a cutthroat place. Katka's thumb ached from pressing the forward button as hard as she could. It wouldn't make Katana move any faster. Katka knew that, but her thumbs wouldn't listen to reason right now. She had to find Xandon and discover what the gut vines were up to, before they tricked her into destroying her own guild. The hazy light of the distant city grew brighter by degrees. Katana didn't look to the left or right, she just ran over dunes, through tented encampments, under the shadows of enemy strongholds. She even splashed through an oasis without swerving. Her eyes never left that hazy light. That was how the bandits got her. Suddenly, flaming arrows rained down from the sky. Her vision flashed red and she staggered as her health bar dropped. She'd been hit. Unfamiliar voices jumbled on her headset. Taste it! One more hit! Grab the bag! Too late. Katana readied her spear, but Katka couldn't see who to aim at, and the spear flew glittering into the night, landing uselessly in the sand ahead. Katana tried to follow it, but she was knocked to the ground by another blow. Her health was critical. She's out! Taste it! Shut up and search the bag. Topaz, nice. Who uses spears anyway? All Katka could see was black. She pressed every button on the controller, but Katana just lay there, her health bar blinking a warning. She was helpless as her loot bag was snatched away and the unseen assailants emptied its contents and flung it onto the sand. She heard every thud as they ran away across the desert. Eventually, her health bar climbed above the danger zone and stopped blinking. Katka let out a breath that she didn't know she'd been holding. Katana stood, picked up her loot bag, and looked at its contents. Just some useless armour, precision gloves, and something called an ice cloak. Great. Katana shouldered the bag. All that gut vine loot gone in seconds because of Katka's own stupidity. Fantastic. Katana limped in circles, searching for her topaz spear. She remembered the exact spot it had landed in, but it wasn't there. The further that Katana limped, the deeper her heart sank until it dropped right into her stomach. Her spear was gone. Katka flopped back on her cool pillows. She stared at the ceiling, at the crack that wriggled across it like a road on a map. She was the leader of the Brittle Star Guild. Despair was not an option. She had to find Xandon and get back what she had lost. With a sigh, she sat upright. Katana joined a crowd of raiders, merchants and warriors as she limped closer to the Silken City gates. Guards stood on either side, their formidable weapons ready in case of trouble. Katana stayed to the middle of the crowd, who jostled and slowed as they reached the bottleneck. As the bustling chatter and hanging silks of the city came into focus, Katana was snatched to the side by a guard. The guard's animated face loomed down at Katana, grinning. His teeth were black. Show us your goods then. Katana's loot bag was snatched for the second time that night. That's something lovely, that is, said the guard. He held up a piece of fabric that looked as if it was woven of water. As the guard held it up, he seemed to vanish behind it. How was that possible? Katka tried to work out what was missing from her bag. The copper armour and precision gloves were still there. The only thing missing was the ice cloak. Katka looked carefully. The guard's grubby fingers gripped the hem, but his arm was totally invisible behind the translucent fabric. At once Katka realised what the ice cloak could do. Now you either give me this, said the guard, as fair payment for entering this fine city, or you don't come in. Katka made her decision in an instant. Give it back, she said to the guard. He threw it down and spat. Fine, but the city gates aren't open to you. Turn back, or this blade finds a home in your belly. Katana turned and limped away. She walked around the curving wall until the city gate was out of sight. Then she put the ice cloak on. The effect was instant. The watery fabric clung to Katana's skin so that she appeared almost invisible. Only the faint shimmering outline of her arms and legs showed that she existed at all. It was perfect. As Katana wove her way back towards the city gates, Katka kept her eyes on the guards either side. She held her breath. The guards gazed this way and that, polishing their weapons with rags. The city was so close, its colour and noise beckoning. 2 more steps, 3, 4, and Katana was past the guards. The Silken City was beautiful. Katana didn't visit it often, so it was easy to forget. Sheets of coloured silk formed a maze of streets and stalls and houses in bright jewel-like colours, amethyst and amber and ruby. Now to find the gut vines. It was when she began to search that Katka realised how hopeless her plan was. The city was huge, the streets twisted and tangled, and she didn't even know where to start. Unseen, Katana passed stalls and workshops and inns and street musicians. Her new cloak allowed her to float between traders as though she were made of clear rippling water. The streets grew busier, and Katka realised that she was near the bazaar, the bustling market at the heart of the Silken City. The bazaar heaved with people who were richly robed, heavily armoured and carrying weapons ranging from wooden staves to ruby daggers. Then in the throng, Katka spotted a crimson cloak. Could it be Zircon? Katana chased the cloak round a corner. The black beard and obsidian sword confirmed it. The Gutvine leader strode through the market, not 10 paces ahead. Katana raced after him as he strode calmly through the crowd. A group of raiders swarmed ahead and Zircon disappeared behind them. Under her new cloak, Katana charged into the midst, ready to elbow her way through. Krrrk! As Katana's arm grazed a raider's back, she froze, and a sound like the world ending split Katka's ears. Katka hit the forward button, but nothing happened. On the screen, Katana's clear watery skin was hardening into shimmering ice. Why can't I move? Katka muttered to herself. She pressed every button on the controller again and again, but Katana didn't react. Crowds of raiders swarmed around her, heedless. Others stopped to stare. Katana wasn't invisible anymore. Was it that brush with the raider that had turned Katana to ice? It seemed like she had been standing there for an age when, at last, a shimmering sound like icicles falling in a cave overwhelmed the burble of the crowd. Ice crystals fell away until Katana was once more liquid and invisible. Zircon had vanished. Katka stared down the street ahead. She saw green and blue and purple, and no hint of red. Where had he gone? Katana dodged and darted through the crowd, careful to touch no one. Alleys flashed by on either side, and she glanced down each without stopping. She nearly missed a glimpse of red and had to backtrack. There he was, a cloaked red figure in the deep shadows of a particularly dingy alleyway. Katana rushed down it as Zircon disappeared through a doorway to one side. When Katana reached the doorway, she found a ragged silk curtain. She raised a transparent arm to draw it aside and inched into the gloom beyond. Lights flashed and voices clamoured. Inside the room was crowded with Gutvine warriors, veiled by her cloak. Katana stepped back into the shadowy corner, where no one was likely to touch her, and drank it all in. Loot bags littered the floor. The flashes came from workstations around the walls, 5, 6, 7 of them. But they weren't ordinary workstations. Instead of wood, they were made of something dark and glittery like granite. But that wasn't the strangest thing about them. Katka watched as Gutvine warriors filled the mortar bowls with ashes. They didn't grind the ashes with the pestle, or even lay weapons on the worktop like you were supposed to. They simply pulled the lever. Flash, crack, there on worktops appeared gemstones, piles of them, all rare and unusual. Is that enough? Said a warrior standing beside a workstation heaped with glittering multicoloured gems. Katka had never seen such riches in all her time playing Raider's Peril. Yellow text appeared on the screen. Zircon was typing his reply. No such thing as enough. Keep going until the chests are full. It was unusual for players to type messages instead of using a microphone, too time-consuming in the middle of an eventful raid, but some players used it because they didn't have microphones. Was Zircon one of those players? We need diamond, lots of it. What were these magical workstations that create precious gems from ashes, and where could Katka get one for her guild? And don't forget, we need the fire opal chest full by tonight. Katka's heart fluttered. Fire opal? Zircon strode to an unmanned table. Why is no one at this workstation? We're not working at full capacity. Sorry, Zircon, came a voice that Katka recognised. Jaden was here. Just checking the chests. Did you know that we have plenty of diamond already? Enough to make an axe? Don't forget your axe, Zandon. Fire opal is our top priority. Get working. As if getting the stronghold burnt down wasn't enough, Jaden muttered. His character Zandon shuffled to the empty workstation and filled the bowl with ash. The gut vines could craft fire opal. Perhaps this was Katana's chance to steal some and make her own fire opal spear. After all, she was weaponless, and if she had equipment like that, Brittle Star raids would be a piece of cake. Soon the Brittle Stars would be feared in every corner of the White Desert. Katana crept forwards. The fire opal chest was in the opposite corner. If she could just reach it, maybe she could steal the gems and run before anyone caught her. But as she inched over the floor, a warrior carrying a sack of ash ran across the room. Katana jumped to the side and flew straight into Zircon. At the crack of her skin turning to ice, Katka nearly dropped her controller. A spy! Katka pressed her thumbs on the buttons, but there was nothing she could do until her skin melted. An axe flew towards her and crash! Her ice skin shattered. Her health fell to half. She wasn't ice, she wasn't water. And the whole horde of gut vines could see her, but at least she could move. Before the gut vines could ready their weapons, Katana fled through the door and dashed into the sprawling maze of the Silken City. Okay, so that's it for chapter 4. So have a go at answering those questions. Well done. See you all soon.